Hey, how are you today? I hope you're doing very, very well. Are you considering creating an online course? And if so, which platform are you considering using? That's an online platform for an online course is the digital location where your content is stored. In today's episode, I'm going to give you some helpful understandings of the two most popular online course platforms, Thinkific and Teachable. We're going to look at their feature list, compare them side by side on the things that I believe are the most important elements that you as a content creator needs to be concerned with so you can make a better buying decision. Hi, I'm Patricia Durgan, the Christian Message Coach, and this is Marketers on a Mission. We offer tutorials and interviews to help Christian writers and speakers take their message online. And this is episode number 103, Thinkific or Teachable, Dissecting Their Features List. So let me go to the magic screen. This is episode number 1. Let me go to the magic share screen. How are you today? Are you thinking about creating an online course? Have you already created one? You know, you can also put a course on WordPress.org site. So you're not at all, and there's other places too that are not Thinkific. They're not the only two choices. Thinkific and Teachable are not the only two choices, but they are the leaders in the field. So let's go to here. And come over, share that screen. All right. So this is Thinkific. Let's just do a very brief overview, and then we're going to get down into item by item the very things that I think that you need to be most concerned with when you're considering which one should you choose, or should you choose either one. The Thinkific offers a free plan, and then they have 3 paid plans. All right. So that's how they work. We're just going to do an overview here. And their features are, the free plan is not actually free. This is the free plan here. And it is free. When they say that, they use the word free. They mean that you don't have to pay a monthly fee just to host your information there and to have your content available for purchase. What they mean is that you still have to pay them something, though. I mean, they're not giving their services away. So how do you help them help you? Well, you give them a 10% transaction fee for every purchase that is made. So if you have free courses and you're just giving away free courses, or if you have a paid course that you're offering for sale, but no one purchases it, then you're still not making any payments, okay? So that goes back to the starter version. Now, the essentials and so forth, I'm graying these two out because we're only talking today about the least expensive of both plans and the next level of both plans. The others are beyond the scope of this conversation. Okay, that's why that's grayed out. But those are viable options. So then if you go to the next level, which is the what is that? What do they call that? Essentials. Then there's they've lowered the transaction fee because you're now including the transaction fee for every purchase that's made. You're also paying them $49 a month. So, and that's the monthly plan. You can do an annual and get a little bit of a savings. But if you want to go with both plans, if you want to go uber inexpensive right off the bat, get your feet wet, see how you like the process, both plans, Thinkific and Teachable, offer a free plan. But like everything, there are limitations on the free plan. I mean, that's reasonable, isn't it? So let's look at those. And one of the things is that you have a 10% transaction fee with Thinkific. Then we go to Teachable, and their monthly basic fee is a little bit less. Oh, that's not what I wanted to show you. Here we go. They have a 5% transaction fee. Now, when I was doing this comparison, both of these companies, they set up their site the way they want to. And of course they do. That's their prerogative. So it was not a clear line item by line item by line item comparison when I was doing this research and setting this episode's content for you. So let's look a moment more. It looks like, and it truly is, that Thinkific has 4 plans, including a free plan. It looks like Teachable only has 3 plans, and there is no free plan. Well, actually, there is, but you have to search for it. And when you search for it in Google, Teachable free plan, you'll be taken to a page that describes the free plan. So now, for me personally, I'm not saying that there's anything negative about that business-wise, but personally for me, that's just a tiny little red flag, because they're offering it for free elsewhere if I know to look for it. But if I don't know to look for it, I'll never know. I don't care for that approach, but that is the business model that they have chosen. So this is actually their second, even though it's listed as the first one. Think of it this way. Think of their free plan as being over here. Okay? And then this basic is actually their first paid level. Let me check and see if we have anything going on with the internet, any questions or comments right off the bat, because sometimes we do, especially when we're having a class or a workshop. Hello, Chad Thibodeau. How are you? So good to see you. All right, so let's move on. So now here are the things that I think you need to be most concerned about, all right? These are the elements that are the most important things for you to check out. And the stars, the red starred items, those are the ones that I think are the absolute top of the item line issues that you need to get your answers and be happy with what is offered, all right? So Thinkific and Teachable both have a free plan, but Teachable's is not listed on its homepage. You have to look for it. They both have their first paid level plan, right? They both got free, and then they have another plan right beside it, $49 a month for Thinkific and $39 a month for Teachable. Both have transaction fees on top of that. So, excuse me. So both of them, you need to pay attention when you're doing your calculating and estimating how many students that you think may be active. Now, this doesn't even apply to someone who has deep pockets. We just go with what we need to do, we sign off on it, and we're happy as a clam. But we're talking about people who are on a budget, because if we can do things tight, then we can always blossom out, can't we? We can always expand our reach and our options and our budget. But if we have a very small budget, you may want to start with the free plans on either of these platforms. Or if you don't, if you start with the free plan and you sell courses, you will still be paying not a monthly fee, but a transaction fee for each sale. Just remember that. It's nothing to be scared about, but you need to be aware of it. So it's not free doesn't actually mean no money will change hands from you to the platform. It just means that you won't make a monthly payment in addition to the transaction fee. Then this next payment level, both of them have that next payment level. Thinkific is their first. We're talking about their first paid level, $49 versus $39. But check those transaction fees. It may equal out for you based upon lots of elements there. So both sites, do they host your content? This is a biggie that is not, if you're not in the field, you would be aware of perhaps how important this feature is. This is enormously important because that means that you can host all of your content, video, audio, PDF content. You can store it on your Thinkific/Teachable course. And let's back up for just a moment and remember that Teachable and Thinkific, they both allow you to actually create a website. And then it's a course designed website. And it's specifically to deliver your course information, your content, and so forth. They have other features. Some have a discussion group and on that we won't get into every potential possibility today. But you don't have to put it on your WordPress.org website. You can't put it on your WordPress.com website. That's a feature that is not available on WordPress.com, right? So you're actually creating a website on their platform. You can use their domain and or your domain, your choice. Then they actually host the content for you, and your students go there and access your content, right? So you can keep your own, if you have a website, whether it's wordpress.com or wordpress.org, you can go ahead and keep that and just be rocking along. And you can reference as needed your sales online course website. You wouldn't describe it that way. You would just link from one site to the other, and it would be very seamless and very low key. All right. So you would go ahead and create your website, and there are drag and drop elements so you can design it. They're both user friendly. They are known to be user friendly. So you don't have to learn hard web, so you don't have to learn HTML. You don't have to learn coding. You don't have to know how to design a website. It's all drag and drop with both of these platforms. Okay, so don't be nervous about that. But we're not talking about designing your website today. We're talking about what are the features that they have that are going to make a difference in your life as a content owner, all right, a course owner. So they do host your site, your content. Now, why is that important? Why is that such a big deal? Because if they don't, you have to. And that's money you're talking about coming out of your pocket. Now, yes, you're paying a fee to either of these platforms and any other platform that hosts content and has an online course. But if we have a WordPress.org website, we have to go find some other third-party online provider to host our videos, audios, and our PDFs, the content, the guts of our course. So you can go to Amazon S3. They're very inexpensive, and they're the dickens to try to work with. They're very complicated, but they're the least expensive, almost on the market. Another choice is Wistia or Vimeo, and they only host, their specialty, I should say, is video hosting. So $240 a year to have them store your videos, and then you still have to take care of your audio and your PDFs in a different way. Or you can come to, and that's using it with your WordPress.org site, okay? And you're responsible for all of that. You set that up, you design it, you maintain it, just like any other normal website. Or if you use an online platform like Thinkific or Teachable, then they let you borrow, host, pay for space on their platform, and they give you the ability to design your website, and then they host all the content. So this is sort of, for us as content creators, course owners, this is sort of like a one-stop shop. Thinkific and Teachables and other online platforms like this that host online courses, they are sort of a one-stop shop versus us creating our own WordPress.org site, and then we put all our content in there. We've got it hosted over here, and then we've got another piece hosted over here. We have to link it all together. And it can certainly be done because it was done long, long, long ago before Thinkific and Teachable were even in business and other online platforms like that. But that's what hosts content means, and that's why there's a red star beside it. It's a really important point. They both offer subscription plans, which means that you can have recurring payments. You can sell your product for 10 easy payments or 3 easy payments, or fill in the blank with what you want. Excuse me. Thinkific, you can do that through Stripe, and Teachable, you can do it through PayPal. We're going to get to that just in a moment because that's another important element. Their payment, say, drip content. So let's talk about drip content. If you're not familiar with what that means, that's where you have course material. Let's say you have 10 lessons. There's usually a lot more, but let's just make it simple. Let's say that you have 10 lessons. If your online platform allows you to drip content, that means that you can drip it out. Like the water faucet is dripping. You can determine how often new content is released to your paying clients. So you might have, and there's 2 options there. You may have a setup where you choose to drip content out from the moment that they make their first payment. They get access to the first lesson. And then the next day, or whatever your time frame is, you set it up behind the scenes. Then the next day or the next allotted time, then they get access to the second lesson and the third and the fourth and so on. Okay, so that is the first version. You can also not use a drip content. So I'm getting myself confused here. Let's go back and say, what is the normal option? Somebody pays, and they get immediate access to all of your content. Now, as a course creator, this isn't a good choice for us. Why? Because somebody can come into our course, pay for it, come into it, gather all of our materials together in 20 minutes or 24 hours or 3 weeks, and leave and ask for a refund, and then but they still have had access to our content this whole entire time. So I like it better to have dripped content so that the person, and then again, we're going back to what I mentioned before, where you can either drip it out from the moment of purchase in a designated, pre-designated time allotment. And that would be more like a DIY situation where you give it to them, they have access to it, they're going to work on their own, and whether you do or do not have a coordinating Facebook group, they are working on their own basically, and you're not quite as involved as you might be, and so you work at their own pace. The second version of a dripped content is where the person has access to it on a specific date. Everyone who's purchased has access to the content, the very first lesson, on a specific date. And that would be where you as the course creator, you wanted to engage with them and you wanted them to move along at the same pace. Now, not that they all would, because people get behind, life happens, but the content is presented so that everybody starts on Monday, January the 1st, no matter when they paid. So if they paid on December the 30th or December the 15th, whichever date that version of dripped content is, then they would not have access to your course. Even the first lesson, you set all this up, of course. There are strategies involved until January the 1st, okay? And then everybody moves collectively together as a group. And that's when you would most likely need a Facebook group. So you're interacting with them behind the scenes. You're helping them move along, answering questions and clarifications while they're going through the course. So it's still DIY, but they're moving together through the course as a group, okay? So that's why drip content is a biggie, a real biggie. Payment gateways, okay? So what is a payment gateway? If you're not familiar with that term, that is another third-party tool that collects money for you. Now, let me get a sip of water. I'm so excited about this topic. Payment gateways, the number one worldwide payment gateway is PayPal. Everybody's familiar with that. But let's just talk for a moment as a course creator. PayPal, if there's a dispute between you as the owner, the company, and the client as the purchaser, PayPal has a long-standing relationship to almost always side with the purchaser, the client. So if you have a 30-day guarantee and there's an issue between day 1 and day 30, 29 and a half, there's a complaint of some kind, or even after that guarantee is expired and there's a complaint from the user, the person who has purchased, then PayPal will almost, if there's a dispute, a formal dispute, and it goes to PayPal, they almost always side with the client, the purchaser, the buyer, not the company. So just be aware of that. That's nothing to be scared about, but I want to inform you of that so that you're aware of it and you go into that relationship with your eyes wide open. Now, Thinkific has 2 options. One is PayPal and one is Stripe. And Stripe is a very well-known worldwide leader in accepting payments and processing credit card payments. They're not well-known because they're sort of like the behind-the-scenes company that just makes everything work. And if you've never needed their services, you probably have never even heard of them. But they are very well-known, very established. And look at the next line. This is really important. Access to funds. That's a big, big element, okay? We want to make sure that whatever online platform that we choose for our online course, that we have access to our funds as soon as possible. So how do these two match up? Thinkific gives you access to your funds immediately. Now, let's go back for just a second. PayPal processes your funds, and it takes a certain number of days for it to be processed and in your PayPal account. Then you have to go into PayPal and transfer it from your PayPal account to your bank account. And that's all interconnected way before you even start to sell something, okay? But there is a period of time where the burden is on you to move the funds. Whereas on Stripe, there's still a waiting time because they have to process the credit card payment. But then at the same time, when it's processed, the funds immediately drop into your bank account. So that's an important distinction according to what your budgetary needs are. Whereas whereas Teachable only offers the PayPal connection. They don't offer Stripe. So with every purchase, you would need to move the funds from your PayPal account to your bank account yourself, and be aware that if there is ever any dispute, then you will probably be on the losing side of that dispute with PayPal. All right? So next is multiple courses. Before I go there, let's see if we have anybody that has a question. I see no questions at the current time, so we will move on. All right, multiple courses. Both of these platforms allow you to create and sell multiple courses without having to get yet another account. This is an important point. You may have 3 courses, and you may launch them all at the same time. They may be sequential. You'll have the first, and then you'll release the second another month or another season or another year, and the same with the third. And you don't have to have multiple. You can have multiple courses on one single account. All right, next, what is private and hidden courses? What is that? Thinkific allows you to have private and hidden courses, and that means that you can, let's back up, if you don't have, that's what they call inactive. Private and hidden is the equivalent in Teachable, in Thinkific, is the equivalent to Teachable's active or inactive, sort of. Again, they don't use the same lingo. They don't set up, they're not sister companies. So we have to merge the terms and the understanding and the features and understand how these particular features of all of that are offered on both websites, both course creating platforms. These are the items that I think are the most important that will make a difference to you and the quality of your course, the deliverability, the accessibility to your funds, and your overall peace, all right, as a course creator and an owner of an online course. So in Teachable, you can turn that course on or off, make it active or inactive. Now, what does that mean? That means that your clients that have already paid, they will have access to the content as long as you want them to have that access, okay? Whether that's forever or for the next 3 months or for the next 20 days, whatever that is. But if someone goes to your website on Thinkific or Teachable, they will not see that as an active course. It will be listed as a course with a little graphic that you upload, and it will be inactive. All right, that means that you're not accepting new customers, new clients. You don't want people to enroll in it currently, so there will be a notice. And in a similar way, Thinkific calls that same kind of a thing private or hidden. They're not exactly parallel meanings, but private and hidden courses are similar. You can have it so that certain people see the public sees which courses you want to let them see, while other people who have already paid see everything that's available to the public, as well as courses that they have already paid for. They still have access to that. So there are subtleties there that are strategic in relation to the design of the website that you would have on this online course platform, and we're not going to get into that today, all right? But that's what those terms mean. And then access to support, that's always a biggie for me. That's just me personally. It might not be a big deal to you, but for me, that is a big a trigger, whether I want to move forward or I don't. So Teachable only has email access to support. For me, that's a real big no-no. When I have problems, because I can figure out, I've done this for so long, I've been online so long, studied online marketing, used most of these tools, some form of these tools for so many years. By the time I have a big problem, that means I can't handle it. And that's unusual. Number one, that's the very first thing that hits me, that's unusual. It's complex. That means email is not usually my first choice. I have multi-layered questions because I have a complicated problem, and I have to communicate that with email only instead of getting on the phone and being able to not change my story but make myself more clear. as the conversation proceeds, and they can ask me questions back and forth, and we can proceed and get my problem solved much more quickly if there is also phone support. And Thinkific offers both email and phone support, so you could go either way. Now, one of the tricky parts is I called them to check on their phone support, and I was invited to leave a message. So I'm not saying, not drawing any conclusions, but they may just have been overwhelmed today in their support area. But I had to leave them. I chose not to leave a message, but I wanted to talk to them, and I was not able to reach them. So do they technically have phone support, or do they not? And then both platforms offer a Facebook group. And this may be for course creators, I should say. So this may be why they have only email support in Teachable, and they have both Thinkific, both phone and email. I'm sure that they're hoping to funnel you, to guide you, to go to the Facebook group first before you contact support, because in a Facebook group we get live responses typically. We can solve our problems there with other users, other course creators who would jump in and help us. Then if we can't solve that problem that very minute or in the next 5 minutes or hour, then we can go to support and ask them for further help on a deeper level, something that couldn't be handled by our peers in the Facebook group section. Okay? All right? This is a lot of information. I'm not expecting you to absorb it all in one go-round. But when the time comes for you to create, or you're considering creating and looking and doing your research, where should I host my content? Should I create a WordPress.org website and host all my content there? And I'll be responsible for maintaining it. I'll pay for the hosting of it every month. I will be responsible for uploading everything and making sure something works. And if a customer can't get in access to it and they contact me, then I'm the one that's got to go fix it. There are pros and cons to that, and those are mostly the cons, because the pro is you're not paying anybody other than your hosting company. You're not paying a monthly fee on top of your sales fee. So, but these online platforms, these do-it-yourself, it's almost like a do-it-yourself website that you can sell from. So they each have their pros and their cons, and other similar online platforms, online course platforms, they have pros and cons too. But as you start doing your research, look at these elements right here. How are they stacking up? No matter who you're looking at, how are they stacking up amongst themselves? Lay your grid out, your graph, and get the answers to these various questions. Particularly the drip content, because that's something you may not even be interested in right now. But you will be in the future. There will come a day when you don't want to offer every person who purchases all of your content immediately. You want to control the flow of that. And it may be because you want to make sure that your 30 days guarantee has expired before you give access to the rest of the content. But it also may just be that the way that your course is signed up, that every step, one on top of the other, is set up so that if you're not successful with step number, or you don't want people to have access to step number 37 before they've completed steps 1 through 36. So in that way, you're serving your client, okay? Now, one other thing to mention that I don't have here on this note, because I didn't have room for it on the graph, is Teachable. See how it says Teachable access to funds is after 30 days? They hold your money in their bank account for 30 days. And then they disperse the funds to you. Because whether you have a 30-day guarantee or not, they have a 30-day guarantee. So that if someone purchases through you or any other course creator, and they don't like what they get when they have access to content, up till the 30th day, they would go to Teachable, not to you as the owner of the content, but Teachable as the online platform host, and say, I want my money back. And Teachable would disperse that on your behalf, taking it from the funds that you are owed. Now, Thinkific doesn't do that. You have access to your funds immediately. So if somebody pays you $2,000 on Monday, then by the time the transaction process takes place behind the scenes on Wednesday or Thursday, maybe even Friday, you'll have access to $2,000. Conversely, if someone's not happy and they want a refund, you'll be responsible for taking care of that. So there are a lot of strategies here. Couldn't possibly cover them all in a 35-minute workshop. But I wanted to give you the overview so that you could start the process of really thinking and praying how you want to approach this if you want to bother. But it's very worth it, because here's the bonus. Once you have an online course and it's up and running, it is something that you can make available at any point. If it's evergreen, it will always be available. If you do a launch sequence once a year, twice a year, every season, then you would make that available as you wish. But the course is already created, so all the content is already uploaded. You don't have to sit down and teach one-on-one every client everything you know. It's already online, stored, available for them to access as they will. And if you want to offer them one-on-one access to you, then that would either be via a phone call, and that would be a higher priced product, or it would be in a private Facebook group where you can answer their question, and by default, you're answering that same question that other people are asking. Okay? There's a lot of information. I'm glad to answer questions about it, whether now or some other time. Feel free to during the replay. If you're watching this on the replay, feel free to contact me and ask a question. I'm glad to chime in. So I hope that was, your head might be swimming, but it's something for you to think about. This is future information, okay? This has been Marketers on a Mission, episode number 103. Thinkific or Teachable, Dissecting Their Features List. Tomorrow, Lynn Hartke. She's going to come tomorrow. She's an author, a pastor's wife, a breast cancer survivor, and she's going to tell us how she arranged her best book signing ever. That happens right here tomorrow at 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern. Until then, I'm Patricia Durgan, the Christian Message Coach, and I pray this show helps you reach more people online for Christ. Thanks for being here.